Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a huge idea by looking at something really, really small, just a single everyday word. And what we find might just change how you think about communication itself.
So let me just ask you something. Think of a word you use all the time. Maybe get, or have, or with. Got one? Okay. Now try to explain it to someone who has no clue what it means. It's kind of tough, right? We just know what these words mean, but trying to pin them down with a simple definition is a real challenge.
For this explainer, we're going to zoom in on just one of those words, before. And to do that, we're diving into a really cool source, the Simple English Wiktionary, to see exactly how it cracks this very problem. All right, let's really get into this. We're about to break down how before gets explained with a kind of clarity that is honestly almost shocking in how precise it is. Just look at this definition. It's not using a bunch of other complicated words to explain the first one. Nope, it lays out the idea of before like a simple, logical rule. If X happens before Y, well then X is first and Y is second. It's almost like a math formula, but for time. And this is where that abstract formula just clicks into place. Put out the fire before the house burns down. The consequence is so immediate, so perfectly clear. First, you put out the fire. Second, the house doesn't burn down. You get it instantly. And here's where it gets really brilliant. You see, before isn't just about time, it can be about place, too. So instead of just mushing them together and causing confusion, the source splits them apart. It defines each one, and it even gives you the opposite, the antonym for both. After for time and behind for place. This whole thing is just designed to be as clear as possible. But here's the thing you have to understand. This level of simplicity, this super structured way of explaining a word, that's no accident. It's not just some editor having a good day. It's part of a much bigger, totally deliberate system. So what is this system? Well, the answer is kind of hidden in plain sight, in a tiny little note right on the source page. It's a single clue that just unlocks this whole concept. And there it is. Right there, in the entry, it says before is on the Basic English 850 list. Now, that might sound like a random piece of trivia, but trust me, it's not. That right there, that's the key. 850. Just let that number sink in for a second. In a language that has, hundreds of thousands of words, why this number? What could 850 possibly signify? It means this. The Simple English Wiktionary isn't just making up easy definitions on the fly. It's often working inside the rules of something called Basic English, a controlled, simplified version of the language that is intentionally limited to a core set of just 850 words. Words chosen because they are essential and powerful. So you gotta ask, right? Why? Why would anyone create a language with so few words? What is the point of putting on such a radical limitation? Well, the goals are actually incredibly practical. For someone learning the language, it's a solid starting point that isn't totally overwhelming. For something like a technical manual, it gets rid of any confusion. For international business or diplomacy, it gives everyone a common ground to stand on. And maybe the most important part, it forces you, the speaker, to be crystal clear. You can't hide behind big, fancy words. You have to say exactly what you mean. And that's really the heart of it. The genius of Basic English isn't that it's small. It's that it proves that you don't need a massive vocabulary to share big, complex, important ideas. Simplicity, it can be a superpower. So we started with just one little word, before, and we followed that thread all the way to this incredible system designed to make the world a little more understandable. It just goes to show you that underneath all our complex language, there's a simpler, more direct core just waiting. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. If you were limited to that core vocabulary, if you were forced to be clear and direct with absolutely no room for fluff, what would you talk about? What ideas are so important that they would absolutely have to make the cut?